All right, good morning YouTube. Our last video we talked about all the generator drama, and I've decided that I'm going to go back to the way the generator originally designed with a mechanical lift pump. So I'm going to take out the electric lift pump down here, and I got to remember how the hoses or the fuel lines were routed. I remembered that this is really a critical part. It's the mechanical, where it's a metal fuel line that goes from the end of the mechanical fuel pump, I believe, back down to the secondary fuel filter. But let me consult with the manual and tell you for sure. So we got the service manual. And yes, the metal fuel line goes from there to the intake side. And I should have known better. So this fuel line's going to go from here down to here. And then this fuel line comes from the output of the filters into the high pressure injection pump. So first step, let me get this all apart. This needs to be left open. That's the return line so that air can bleed out of the system easily. On the system, this is the vacuum gauge for that filter. As you can see, I'm manipulating the diaphragm. I think I can hear fuel. Oh yeah. And then right here, you can just see air bubbles around there, so that's a splendid sign. Let's see what we got here. At the preheat. And good oil pressure. Go upstairs and see. Got good water flow. I know it's surging a little bit right now, but I'm gonna go. There's still some air in the lines. To give you an idea of though when the surging was real bad. Sounds like it's clearing up a little bit. All right, a little update. As soon as I basically got myself cooled off for 2-3 minutes, wiped down, went to restart it. It ran for about 20 seconds. I was going to go upstairs, have some water and take a break. and it stopped. I can't get it to reprime. I'm not getting any vacuum on the vacuum gauge. I am pumping a little fuel through the injection pump, but I'm not getting anywhere. I'm only getting about 2 inches of mercury on the fuel pump. Should be somewhere around 5, at least 4 to 5. I'm going with that fuel pump needs to be replaced. So now I'm back to, do I just replace the fuel pump or rebuild it, or do I go back to the electric? I'm stubborn. I'm going to rebuild this fuel pump, but first I'm going to take a break. I admit defeat, at least temporarily. Saturday, March 1st, we're looking at leaving to go to Key West, Dry Tortugas, Fort Myers, and across the Okeechobee Waterway here in the next 5 days. We're going to leave Thursday. So I know the electric fuel pump works. I do want at some point rebuild the mechanical pump and give this another shot, but I'm quickly running out of time. So let me undo everything I just did, put the let me put the electric fuel pump back in. We'll do a time lapse here and hopefully it goes quick, and then we'll go through wiring in the fuel pump. All right, so I've got it back installed. Went a lot quicker. I still need to prime the system. This is the return line I'm connecting right now. I'm going to do it loosely. So 4 to 5 inches of mercury on the fuel filter. So as you can hear, the fuel pump's working, but it's sucking air. I'm checking the direction of the fuel flow, just double checking that I haven't installed it backwards. Yep, I got the flow correct. I have great vacuum at the Raycor fuel filter, roughly 4 to 5 inches of mercury of vacuum, but the motor's just not priming. I have the return line at the high pressure injection pump bled open. I'm starting to get good fuel flow at the return line, but the generator's just not starting. So as you can see, I'm continuing to struggle with getting the fuel system primed. At this point I decide, let me crack open the fuel line that supplies the high pressure pump, and let's see if we can get fuel to that point. I mean, fuel should be flowing. This is making no sense. I'm starting to get really frustrated here. This process has taken a lot longer than I think it should. Oh, there we go. There we go. Got fuel at the injection pump. Guys are just basically ran all the fuel out of the filters. But ultimately, it just took a long time. I'm guessing that when I had run the generator the last time on the mechanical pump and it shut off, it was pumping all the fuel out of the fuel filters, the primary and the secondary, and these must have been empty, and it was just simply taking a long time for the electric fuel pump to refill everything. Getting good clear fuel right the return.
Now I have the system primed. Let's get everything buttoned up. I've got to tighten up the high pressure injection pump return line, and let's see if this puppy's going to start. Well, as you can see, it starts right up. Very happy about that, but I forgot that there was still a little bit of residual fuel in that mechanical fuel pump, so it's basically just spraying a fine mist of fuel everywhere. In my excitement to deal with the spraying fuel, I took my other hand off of the battery connection, so the electric lift pump's no longer running, and basically I'm back to running the fuel filters dry, and you'll hear the engine start surging.
Okay, got a little bit of hunting there because the fuel pump had a little fuel in it and it was starting to spray. The mechanical lift pump was starting to spray a little fuel out, and I took the power off the pump to address this. So the engine was still running and basically drawing all the fuel out of the filters here. All right, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to wire this up a little better temporarily rather than just holding the wire on there. Let it run for 20 minutes, heat up, whatever, put a load on the generator and see what we got.
I ran the generator for about 20 minutes. I put some loads on it, running various air conditioning units and so forth, and it's running great. This electric fuel pump is doing its job. I'm not having any issues. However, you're going to have to figure out how to wire it in there permanently so that it will shut off if the generator suddenly stops, and also still be able to prime it before starting the generator. So we're going to have to get into the control panel, and this is the part that I've really been dreading.
This here is the control panel. Old generator, very simple. Start, stop, and preheat.
I'll spare you most of the painful details on trying to figure out the easiest way to get the control box disassembled or access to it, and ultimately I decided it's got to completely come off.
All right, as you can see, I got the control box down off the wall. I got into here. There's two parts. That's the bottom half. And this is the top half. That gets screwed onto the plate up there.
And I can't believe what I find. As I'm looking at the wires that are coming from the generator up into the control panel, the insulation is literally split, cracked, and if you touch it, just falling off. So we decided that we're just going to run all new fresh wires. It's a total of 12 wires. They're 10 gauge. We put ring terminal ends on one end. You can see there Daria is putting some insulation in the way of heat shrink, and we have some what we call snakeskin. It's expandable conduit. We pulled these 12 wires around the back side of the generator. Comes out on the outboard side, and we're just doing a temporary install, so we haven't run it through the sound shield. We just have it laying there, but we're going to attach the 12 wires coming from the back side of the gen end to a separate terminal block that we're going to mount on the exterior. That way we can test leads and diagnose and so forth, and then the 12 sets of wires going out of the control box will then get connected to the other side of the terminal strip. Hope this makes sense.